Before there was a LeBron, before social media crowned high school stars, there was Felipe Lopez, a kid from the Dominican Republic, who arrived in New York City with nothing but a basketball and a dream. No one could have imagined that, within a few short years, he'd become the most talked about player in America, nicknamed the Dominican Jordan, the face of hope for an entire community that had never seen someone like them reach those heights. He wasn't just playing for himself. He was carrying the pride of a people. Every slam dunk, every headline, every magazine cover made history for Dominicans everywhere. In a country known for baseball, Felipe was rewriting the script, putting the Dominican Republic on basketball's map, and giving a new generation something to believe in. But behind the fame and flashing cameras, there was pressure, expectation, and the weight of a dream too heavy for one young man to hold alone. How does a kid from the Bronx, once called the next Michael Jordan, handle the impossible? And what happens when the dream starts to slip away? This is the rise, the fall, and the redemption of Felipe López, the Dominican dream. Luis Felipe López was born on December 19, 1974, in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, where baseball was the dominant sport and a way of life. But unlike most of the kids his age, Felipe was drawn to basketball. In those moments, on dusty driveways and under the Caribbean sun, a new dream was born. Little did he know, the game that started as a substitute for baseball would soon carry him beyond his wildest imaginings, and, eventually, far beyond the shores of his Dominican homeland. In 1986, the Lopez family embarked on the classic immigrant journey in search of a better life.
I immediately just moved to the South Bronx. The whole transition was a little bit tougher because I was just kind of in the cave back in DR. You know, we had a nice, the family, we had the friends, and, moving to the Bronx where, as soon as I came here, it was almost like an epidemic. It was drugs all over the place. It was just people shooting drugs. It was cocaine, it was crack. And it was visual. Like, I was able to see these things like happening right in front of my face. So I was like, whoa, it was shocking.
An immigrant kid trying to find his footing. Basketball became Felipe's universal language and his refuge. Felipe's older brother, Anthony, recognized that talent early and helped open the door to organize basketball. Anthony brought him to the famed New York Gauchos, an elite youth basketball program in the Bronx, and convinced the coaches to give his lanky little brother a tryout. The 14-year-old did not disappoint. He had found not only a new home, but a stage on which to shine. And as the quiet teenager began to make noise on the court, the buzz in New York City was only just beginning. Felipe enrolled at Rice High School in Harlem, a Catholic school with a rich basketball tradition, and quickly transformed into one of the most electrifying prep players the city had ever seen. By his sophomore year, word of the Dominican kid with crazy hops and handles spread across the 5 boroughs. Game by game, the crowds grew. Rice's gym became the hottest ticket in town, packed to the rafters with fans eager to catch a glimpse of the teenage sensation. By 1994, his senior year, Felipe López was the top-ranked high school player in the entire country, even rated above future NBA legend Allen Iverson. They nicknamed him the Dominican Michael Jordan, a moniker that captured both his on-court brilliance and the pride he instilled in New York's Dominican community. In a city that worships basketball, Felipe was its reigning prince. He delivered on the hype night after night. Felipe averaged over 26 points per game as a senior and racked up virtually every honor a high school player could dream of. Gatorade National Player of the Year, Mr. Basketball USA, and MVP of the 1994 McDonald's All-American Game, to name a few. And he wasn't just collecting trophies. He was carrying the hopes of an entire community on his back. Nowhere was this more evident than at the 1994 City Championship. In the Catholic High School Athletic Association, CHSAA, title game held at Fordham University, Felipe led Rice High to a historic victory. As the final buzzer sounded, pandemonium broke loose in the packed gym. In an iconic scene, Felipe climbed onto the rim, a Dominican flag clenched in his hand, and waved it triumphantly as fans and family cheered below. In that electric moment, Felipe López wasn't just a high school champion. He was a symbol of hope and pride for an entire people. Yet, As high as his star rose in New York City, this was only the beginning. The rest of the basketball world was about to discover Felipe Lopez, and with that wider spotlight would come even greater expectations. In the fall of 1994, at just 17 years old, Felipe graced the cover of Sports Illustrated before he had even played a single college game. The magazine heralded him with the bold headline, "The Big East is back," proclaiming the arrival of a new superstar at St. John's University. Overnight, the kid who learned basketball on the streets of New York became the face of a revival in college hoops. As a freshman at St. John's in the 1994-95 season, the hype around Lopez was at fever pitch. He was seen as a cultural figure, a beacon for Dominican and immigrant youth on the national stage. With all eyes on him, the pressure to become the next Michael Jordan, or at least to live up to the outsized expectations, was immense. Felipe's high-flying high school heroics had made him a phenom, but now he would face the true test of greatness. As the bright lights of college and the media bore down, fans wondered, could the Dominican dream deliver on the promise? The answer would not come easily, and the journey that followed would take many unexpected turns. Staying in New York to play for St. John's kept Felipe Lopez in the spotlight, but the leap to college ball wasn't the fairy tale many expected. He came out strong, averaging 17.8 points as a freshman and earning all Big East rookie honors. But St. John's struggled, finishing near the bottom of their conference, and the media scrutiny turned harsh. Praise quickly gave way to pressure, with Felipe often unfairly targeted when the team fell short. Rather than bolt for the NBA, he returned for his sophomore year, hoping to grow. But the expectations only intensified. His scoring dipped, the team continued to flounder, and the joy he once played with began to fade. He later admitted he battled depression. The weight of being a symbol for a nation began to wear him down. Still, he pushed forward. With the support of family and mentors, especially a pivotal summer working with St. John's legend Chris Mullin, Felipe gradually found his rhythm again. By senior year, he led the team to the NCAA tournament. In their opening game, down by 1, Felipe took a final shot for the win. It bounced off the rim. St. John's lost 66-64. The storybook ending slipped away, but in that heartbreak came growth. He graduated college, fulfilling a promise to his mother, and left as St. John's third all-time leading scorer. The next chapter waiting for Felipe was the one he had dreamed about since that backyard hoop in Santiago, the NBA. But as he would soon learn, the professional game had its own harsh lessons in store.
With the 24th pick in the 1998 NBA draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Felipe Lopez from St. John's University.
The Spurs traded Felipe on draft night to the Vancouver Grizzlies, a young expansion franchise that happened to be the worst team in the league at the time. Instead of joining a championship-caliber Spurs squad under the great Greg Popovich, Lopez found himself on a struggling team in a foreign city and country far from the New York spotlight. Undeterred, Felipe worked hard to adjust to the NBA. He showed flashes of his old brilliance in Vancouver, and after 2 seasons, a trade to the Washington Wizards brought him back closer to the East Coast. But it was with the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2001 that Felipe finally started to hit a stride in the pros. Playing alongside All-Star Kevin Garnett, he became a reliable role player, even starting several games and earning praise for his defensive energy and slashing drives. It seemed like, at long last, Felipe Lopez was finding his place in the NBA. Then came the moment that changed everything. In October 2002, during a preseason game in Minneapolis, Felipe drove on a fast break, collided mid-air with Boston's Paul Pierce, and crashed to the floor. The impact tore his ACL and MCL, a devastating injury that, in 2002, often ended careers. Though he attacked rehab relentlessly and tried to return that same season, his knee gave out again during practice. After 4 seasons, Felipe's NBA dream had slipped away. Once hailed as the Dominican Michael Jordan, his rise was halted in the cruelest way, but his story was far from over. After his NBA career, Felipe continued playing the game he loved across Europe, Asia, and Latin America. But his greatest impact came off the court. As a mentor and community leader, he founded the Felipe López Foundation in the South Bronx, providing education, mentorship, and basketball training to youth. In the Dominican Republic, he opened a community center that serves hundreds of children. And as an NBA Cares ambassador, he expanded his mission globally, uplifting Latino communities through sports and education. Felipe López may not have become an NBA legend, but he became something greater, a symbol of Dominican pride and resilience. His story is an inspiration for every young dreamer from New York City to Santo Domingo. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and comment below.